Coming up on today's show, we have a chat with local percussionist Brendan Murphy. Contemporary dancer Yuvel Soria performs live right here in the pit. We also sit down and have a chat with local dance artist Alyssa Lisle, and dance artist and gong practitioner Tracey West performs live. But coming up first on the show, our host Carolyn sits down with local percussionist Brendan Murphy to talk about the importance of music education.
Important, isn't it? Music education is something that is being proven to be a substantial part of what kind of helps support young people growing up. It gives them an outlet, and it kind of inspires them, doesn't it?
Completely.
What do you think the kind of music education opportunities that are available these days? Is there a lot? Is there many? Should there be more?
There should always be more. We've been living in years of austerity, and music education has taken a big hit through those years. But there are opportunities out there for people, even in this difficult time that we're living in now. And I would encourage people to take up their opportunities when they can, when and how they can. The work that Creative Seed are doing here at St Hilda's in South Shields, but also in Sunderland at Carnival House, is one example of fantastic music education opportunities that are being given to our communities. Mm-hmm. And I would say to people, grab those opportunities with both hands, do your best, enjoy the experience of making sound, however that is, if it's with your voice, if it's with some kind of music tech, if it's with an acoustic instrument, because creating sound, creating something is a wonderful experience. It's a lovely personal experience. And it's a different way of communicating with people than verbally, and it's an experience that everybody should try. I feel like if you get the opportunity to express yourself through sound, through music, in however way, the simplest way, you'll find it an enjoyable experience to create the sounds, and you'll find it an enjoyable experience to pass those sounds on to the ears of other people, who will then interpret your sounds in their own way. And that's a communication on a level that we don't have in any other way. It's a beautiful creative process.
It really So it's an outlet for so many different things, whether that's emotions or, sometimes people can't express it the way they feel with their words. And I think just having that and knowing that that's available and anyone can pick up a drum, or whether it's a pan or a spoon, or, whether you stamp your feet and scream.
Yeah.
It's just that outlet, isn't it? And that's so inspiring, and knowing that that's there and you can do it at any time. Anyone can do it.
Absolutely. Anybody can do it at any time. Even in these difficult times where people are at home, you can make music for yourself. If you've got, like you say, some pans, or if you've got, a table, or, you might actually have a musical instrument in the house. Making music it's not about stadiums of people. It's not about audiences that fill the Albert Hall. Of course, those events are wonderful and joyous, but music is about the person that is expressing the music, creating something from silence, creating some sound that hasn't been made before. Mm-hmm. And for the listener's point of view, it's about the listener hearing those sounds that have been created and interpreting those sounds with their own ideas, and that communication happening. And that can happen from a child to a mother. That That can happen with one person in their flat, making a sound and recording it on the phone, listening back to it and thinking, I made that. Yeah. Actually, I could make it a little bit better. I'll try it again and I'll do it like this. And then a process begins of creativity and that's it's in us. It's in our human nature. I really believe that. So music's not about competition. Music's not about being the best. Music's about learning about yourself, learning about the instruments that you're playing, and creating things from silence.
And that's absolutely key, isn't it? It really, really is.
A massive thank you to Brendan for coming in for a chat. Hopefully we can get him in for a performance very soon. Speaking of which, coming up next on the show, we have a live performance filmed right here in the pit. This is contemporary dancer Yuvel Soria with music from our very own Sam Palmer, aka Kirk Bogart. A massive thank you to Yuvel for coming in. Hopefully we can get him in for more performances in the coming weeks. But coming up next on the show, our host Carolyn sits down with local dance artist Alyssa Lisle.
Really. So I think sometimes you can go through a massive quiet period and then all of a sudden everything comes at once. Would you say there's a lot of pressure being self-employed and being a performer, kind of making your own work? Is there a lot of pressure attached to that?
I feel like a lot of the pressure, from my perspective, is quite a lot of self-pressure. So I put a lot of pressure on myself, but that's just because I'm very driven and I want to always like keep moving forward. So if I do get a quiet time, I'll think, how can I use this time? Like, where can I train? Where can I upskill? What can I research into? So I never kind of have that lull because there's always something that my brain's like, right, I can do that now. Yeah. So when I'm really busy, I kind of pick and choose where I do need to send my energy, and then I'm put things aside and I'm like, when it's quiet, that's what I'll do. I'm someone who gets up at 6 a.m. and has to keep moving until I go to bed. So
amazing.
That's where I'm happiest, so that's like where I'm most driven. So.
Yeah, I mean, give me some of that motivation because I think we could all do with a little bit of that sort of motivation at the moment. That's amazing. So going back to kind of like the beginning, where did it all start for you? Did you always know that you wanted to have a career in dance, or was it something that kind of life experience just led you to?
Yeah, I think it was like from the beginning. So I've danced since I was a child. But I took it really seriously from like the age of 5, like competitions, like going every night after school. I went to like 3 different dance schools at different times. So like I was always out dancing. And I think from that point, it was always something that I wanted to do. I never really imagined myself doing anything else, which sounds really cheesy, but it is true.
Yeah, it's definitely.
And then even when I was at school, it was always like, I did really well at school and I enjoyed school, but I always enjoyed that more, and I suppose I gave more energy to what I did outside of school than what I did inside. Yeah. And then as soon as I left school, I went straight to a BTEC in dance. So from the age of 16, I've been dancing all day, every day. So then it just kind of became my life from then on. I don't think I can imagine it being any different.
Yes, you literally live and breathe it.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So have you always been based in the Northeast, or have you like travelled and worked in different areas?
I've always been here. So went to school here, did my BTEC and my BA all in Newcastle, and then from graduating I just based myself in the Northeast.
Yeah, brilliant. And would you say there's a lot going on in the Northeast? Like there's always opportunities, there's always work, or is it more of a sense that you always look to create your own work?
I think it depends what you're looking for. So I've always found work that I enjoy and that I'm happy to do in the Northeast, and I've never really found a reason to look further. Yeah. I think probably most dancers have done projects outside of the Northeast for like short periods of time, which everyone has done or has gone on a tour, which is always really great to like experience different theatres and different spaces. But I've always enjoyed to base myself here because of kind of like the community that I feel like the Northeast has, and I know a lot of dancers here, and it does feel like that's where I've based myself. Mm-hmm. And I can't imagine basing myself anywhere else, but I can imagine like maybe going elsewhere.
Yeah, definitely.
For short periods of time.
So you're like open to kind of all aspects.
Yeah.
Of it. Brilliant. And would you say networking is important? Is it necessarily like not just what you know, but who you know as well?
Yeah, I'm really bad at networking. But yeah, I would say so. I think it's always nice to have people in the industry to like even just turn to and be like, what do you think about this? Or like, can I show you something? Do you think it looks good? Like, it's more about having a support network rather than a network to be like, can you give me a job? It's more about having like people around you that understand you and understand your work and know where you want to go, and who could potentially be like, oh, you should go for this, or this would be really good for you. So that's what I kind of use that as.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I always like to ask this question actually to everyone that we interview because I find it so interesting. Do you come from like creative family, or is that something that you just kind of created for yourself? Did you have examples of creativity when you were growing up?
So not in terms of jobs, like my family, none of my family are in creative industries, but one thing that I do see is that I grew up with a lot of music. So in the house there was always music playing, and music's something that has driven me from like a young age to now. Like the music for me makes such a massive difference between whether I like dance really well or dance not. I think it's just something that I use, especially when I teach. Sometimes I plan the music before I even plan the exercise because I'm like, I want to use that track. So I feel like that was something that was maybe like the start of it, like having music in the house, being encouraged to move in the house and that kind of thing. So
yeah, that's amazing. And I think it is so important to kind of like have that, like knowing what you like, especially if music is your kind of like safe zone and what inspires you, then obviously knowing what you like is going to be the best thing.
Yeah.
A massive thank you to Alyssa for coming in, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from her in the coming weeks. But last up on the show, we have another performance filmed live right here in the pit. This is dance artist and gong practitioner Tracey West. next time on Sessions from the Pit.